The ordinary man places his life's happiness in things external to him, in property, rank, wife and children, friends, society, and the like, so that when he loses them or finds them disappointing, the foundation of his happiness is destroyed. In other words, his center of gravity is not in himself. It is constantly changing its place with every wish and whim. What is so unique about the human condition? It defies reason. Ask some and they'll say it's our search for meaning in the meaningless. Others will say it's our search for something greater than ourselves. Ask the Stoic but, and he will say one thing, and that one thing alone: a deliberate lack of reason in a human being. It is the root of all problems, that is, if you must call them problems, he'll add. For the Stoic, reason is what differentiates us from other animals, the only thing that lets us separate what must be done from what follows from instincts, heightened emotions, and irrationality. Basically, what follows from a lack of reason. And in our modern age, an age characterized by relentless busyness and the illusion of control, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, so much so that reason takes a back seat. For some, this becomes perpetual. For some, this becomes permanent. But you are not them, are you? If you're not, then you're here for a reason. Because of reason, and with reason. You have enough reason to understand when we tell you that reason is what it takes to distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot. More importantly, it is reason that prompts you into action and forces you to pay further attention to gain the knowledge you'd need to discern control, or the lack of it. It is reason, then, that leads you to the principle of dichotomy of control, and needless to say, to practicing it when all else fails. This is the most powerful and crucial perspective shift the Stoics have to offer, and since the Stoics were big on reason, practicing this shift ultimately becomes a matter of reasoning with ourselves. This principle, articulated by Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who lived as both a slave and a teacher, offers a profound insight into the nature of human agency and the limits of our power. Epictetus's words ring as true today as they did centuries ago. Some things lie within our power, while others do not. It's a deceptively simple statement that holds the key to inner tranquility and resilience. But what exactly falls within our sphere of influence? Our thoughts, judgments, desires, and actions. These are the realms where our sovereignty reigns supreme, the inner citadel where we are the architects of our character, the sculptors of our destiny. However, a vast expanse lies beyond our grasp. The unpredictability of fortune, the opinions and deeds of others, the relentless march of time, and the intricate dance of cause and effect. These are the external forces, the ups and downs we go through in life. We cannot command them, nor should we aspire to. For in the pursuit of the impossible, we squander our precious energy and forfeit our inner peace. But then, what do? How do we discern control where it matters when all our lives we've been conditioned to muddy the very distinction? The answer's simple, but its implementation is anything but. The answer is using reason at every turn. And trust me, it's easier said than done. Join us as we delve deeper into the most powerful shift in perspective, a gift from the Stoics, with good reason. If you feel helped, do consider subscribing. Drop a like to show us you care and share this video to help others as well. That will help us immensely in continuing to create more powerful stuff. The things we can't control. The Stoic principle of the dichotomy of control, while profoundly insightful, is not always easy to apply in the messy complexities of our daily lives. Discerning what truly lies within our control and what doesn't can be a challenging endeavor, often blurred by our emotions, societal conditioning, and the illusion of control that permeates modern life. we are bombarded with messages that reinforce the idea that we can and should control everything: our careers, our relationships, our bodies, even the weather. We strive for perfection, fearing failure, and constantly seeking external validation. This relentless pursuit of control, however, often leads to frustration, anxiety, and a sense of powerlessness when things inevitably don't go according to plan. The Stoics recognized this human tendency to overestimate our influence and underestimate the power of external forces. They understood that much of what we perceive as within our control is, in fact, not. Our health, for example, is influenced by genetics, environmental factors, and chance occurrences. While we can make healthy choices, we cannot guarantee a life free from illness or injury. Similarly, our relationships with others are complex and dynamic, shaped by their own free will and choices. We can strive to be kind, compassionate, and understanding, but we cannot control how others perceive us or how they behave towards us. Even our careers, while influenced by our efforts and skills, are subject to market forces, economic fluctuations, and the decisions of others. So it ultimately becomes a matter of knowledge of people and things and situations outside us, aptly termed by the Stoics as the externals, a knowledge that can't be gained without paying attention. And since it is a matter of attention, let's focus our attention on matters of our relationships, a domain where the Stoic principle of the dichotomy of control is perhaps the most challenging to apply, and hence where its practical application is best highlighted. In our relationships, we yearn for harmonious connections, for love and understanding, yet we often find ourselves entangled in webs of expectations, disappointments, and misunderstandings. We may believe we can control how others perceive us, their feelings towards us, and their choices in relation to us. We invest time and energy in trying to mold them into our ideal partners, friends, or family members. Yet this pursuit is ultimately futile. Each individual is a sovereign being, with their own thoughts, feelings, and desires. Their choices and reactions are influenced by a myriad of factors beyond our grasp: their past experiences, their values, their beliefs, and their own unique perspectives on life. You become what you give your attention to. And it's hard to argue with, for is it not the case that in fixating on trying to control others, we not only waste our energy, but also create unnecessary suffering for ourselves? It is, isn't it? We become emotionally invested in outcomes that are not ours to determine, setting ourselves up for disappointment and resentment when things don't go our way. So what? Abandon our relationships and become indifferent to the people we care about? No. Only someone who doesn't pay attention to details does that. Instead, you should focus on what you can control. Someone who does pay attention to details follows the Stoic approach to relationships, which emphasizes understanding, acceptance, and compassion. It's about recognizing the inherent autonomy of others, respecting their choices, and focusing on our own actions and reactions. We can control our own behavior, but not the behavior of others. We can try to influence others, but we cannot force them to change. We can love others, but we cannot make them love us back. Instead of trying to control others, we can focus on cultivating healthy communication, setting clear boundaries, and practicing empathy and understanding. We can strive to be the best versions of ourselves, offering love and support without attachment to specific outcomes. By relinquishing the illusion of control in our relationships, we create space for genuine connection and intimacy. We learn to appreciate others for who they are, not who we want them to be. We free ourselves from the burden of unrealistic expectations and embrace the inherent unpredictability of human interaction. This is not an easy path, but a rewarding one that is made easier by knowing that often we have more control over what we experience than what we are led to believe, and that we fail to see this because we are busy wasting our energy on controlling the things we don't actually control. And the reward? What does it give? What does it fix? What does it solve? The situation, all your problems. Now wait, let's do better. How about knowledge, attention, and understanding? Respectively, of course. It does that, and a whole lot more, as we will see shortly. In applying the Stoic principle of the dichotomy of control to our relationships, we cultivate deeper connections, greater resilience, and a profound sense of inner peace. We learn to love without clinging, to give without expecting anything in return, and to find joy in the simple act of being present with another human being. The best part? It doesn't have to be just our relationships. The principle applies to every challenge you may face. Its framework fits and improves every solution you might think of. The dichotomy of control is a recipe for life. What's more, in practicing it, we become wiser too. So you should keep practicing it. Here's more reasons why. The virtue theory. Practicing the dichotomy of control involves an accurate use of reason. When you practice this principle, you naturally employ good reason. Well, that's just common sense, isn't it? You ask. Yes, it is. The common sense that goes out the window when it's time for you to discern control. And what is common sense if not practiced reason? So, when you are trying to control something you have no control over, either you keep doing it and keep making yourself more miserable by the minute, or you pause to reflect you're doing it wrong, bring in your best version of reason, and reason your way out of your folly. Call it reason, call it better judgment, call it common sense, call it whatever you want to call it, but know that this reason, this better judgment, this common sense, when perfected, is the virtue the Stoics talk about. And as Seneca puts it, virtue is nothing else than right reason. Right, accurate, perfect. The extent doesn't matter if you've not even started perfecting it, or if you've started but don't yet see the reason in reason. What matters then is that you understand this path of improving reason leads to virtue, and that virtue leads to happiness. Let's just go ahead and say it. If you want to control something, let it be your progress towards the virtues you seek. That's the only thing truly within your control when it comes to your happiness, your peace of mind. What's more is that this simple yet profound concept has considerable potential to go unnoticed, misunderstood even. Because some things that we naturally come to understand and internalize with experience, no matter how simple or complex they are, can easily be confused with language, especially when you are told those things in a certain manner again and again, without you having experienced them. Such things need to be rephrased and told again, in a different way each time, if need be. Consider this. You've kicked a bad habit after struggling with it for quite some while, an addiction that almost became your life and ate it from the inside until you put a stop to it for good. How did you do it? Did it take figuring out that you'd lost control? Did you reason that out? And did that reason take different forms? Put simply, wasn't it wisdom gained through continuous application of good reason that led you to recognize the problem of having no control over anything? And didn't reason tell you to be courageous, saying, otherwise it won't work? Didn't reason whisper justice in your ears, it's not fair to your loved ones? Tell me reason didn't lead you to acknowledge that, put together, this is what temperance or self-discipline or moderation looks like. Good reason led to better reason, which led to accurate reason, that led to the virtues Stoics have been telling us all about for close to 2,000 years now. So, when you wish to do yourself a favor, do yourself some good, make your situation better if you will, this is where you start. You reason, and this is where it ends. With virtue, happiness, and everything it entails, that, my friends, becomes a side effect of this journey, a byproduct if we must. Seneca said, "This may be taught quickly and in a few words. Virtue is the only good, or at least there is no good without virtue. Virtue itself is situated in our nobler part, that is, the rational part. And what will this virtue be? True and steadfast judgment. From this will spring the impulses of the mind. By this, every external appearance that stirs such an impulse will be reduced to transparency." It is sufficient to say, then, that the only thing you should try to control is your progress on the path of becoming more virtuous, where virtue is understood as reasonable judgment bundled into separate concepts of courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance to better categorize the remedies and their effects. Virtue is sufficient for happiness. Virtue must be deliberate, happiness natural. Focus on yourself. In light of this wisdom, it becomes important to understand that the dichotomy of control is not a call to resignation or passivity. It's not about burying our heads in the sand and pretending that problems don't exist. Instead, it's an invitation to wisdom, an affirmation of our agency. It's a recognition that our true freedom lies not in attempting to bend the universe to our will, but in aligning ourselves with the natural order of things. By relinquishing the futile pursuit of controlling the uncontrollable, we liberate ourselves from the shackles of anxiety, frustration, and despair. Again, this Stoic path isn't one of indifference or detachment. It's a call to focus our energies where they can truly bear fruit. By cultivating virtue, practicing self-discipline, and embracing our moral responsibilities, essentially the things that are up to us to effect, we transform ourselves into active participants in the cosmic drama, co-creators of our own fate. The Stoics taught that we should focus on what we can control and ignore what we can't. This doesn't mean we shouldn't try to influence things outside our control, but it does mean that once we've done what we can, we should accept whatever outcome fate sends our way. The dichotomy of control is not merely a philosophical concept, but a practical tool for living a more fulfilling and meaningful life. It's about recognizing that we are not victims of circumstance, but active agents with the power to choose our response to whatever life throws our way. By focusing our energies on what we can truly influence, we become masters of our fate, captains of our souls. The practice of the principle of dichotomy of control requires a shift in perspective, a willingness to let go of the illusion of control and embrace the reality of our limitations. It means accepting that we cannot control the outcome of every situation, but we can control how we respond to it. It means recognizing that true freedom lies not in dominating external circumstances, but in mastering our inner world. The Stoic art of living consists in recognizing that there are things we can control and things we cannot, and then focusing our attention and efforts on the former. This is not a one-time realization, but an ongoing practice, a constant recalibration of our expectations and desires in light of the dichotomy of control. By embracing this Stoic principle, we can find tranquility amidst chaos, resilience in the face of adversity, and a profound sense of freedom in the heart of a seemingly uncontrollable world. As always, if you feel helped, then feel free to join our tribe too. How, you ask? By hitting that like button as a symbol of your commitment to change. By subscribing to join a community where wisdom isn't just shared but lived, to help us create powerful stuff. And don't forget to hit the notification bell, the gentle chime of a Stoic philosopher, reminding you to return to this space of learning and growth. Each subscription, each notification is a step towards a collective awakening. And if you feel that stirring in your heart, that resonance with the words of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, or Epictetus, share this video. That will help us immensely in continuing to create powerful and unique stuff for the community.